A woman named Beth has just lost her husband Owen to suicide. He has left her a lakeside home where she starts to stay in order to process her grief. For a moment, she feels as though there is a shadowy image behind her. After sleeping there for the night, she goes to the dock where Owen's boat was, the same one he used in his final moments. Beth works as a high school teacher. She is visited by Becky, the mother of one of her students, Hunter. She comes to protest a C grade that Hunter got for his final assignment, which had been graded while Beth was out grieving. When pressed further by Becky, Beth explains to her how Owen took the boat out into the lake along with a handgun and shot himself through the mouth. Becky is left feeling guilty and accepts a B grade for Hunter. Later that night, she goes to a grief counseling session with her best friend Claire. While staying at the house, Beth finds floor plans for the house, indicating that Owen was building something there before he died. Later that night, Beth starts to hear music playing from downstairs. She gets a text from Owen's phone that tells her to go downstairs. When she calls the phone, the music stops and she hears what sounds like Owen's voice telling her to look out the window. Beth goes to the window and looks outside to see what appears to be Owen standing naked by the beach. Beth then wakes up from this dream. She goes to find Owen's phone and opens it to see that there were no other texts from him besides the last one he left before his death. As she looks through his phone some more, Beth comes across a picture of a woman in a bookstore who looks almost exactly like her. The next day, Beth joins Claire and some friends for drinks. Although they try to avoid the subject of Owen's death, it comes up, and Claire mentions that he left a suicide note. It reads, "You were right. There is nothing. Nothing is after you. You're safe now." Claire takes Beth back to the lake house where Beth tells Claire that she once had an accident where she was dead for 4 minutes, and she told Owen that she saw nothing in that time, feeling like she was going through an endless tunnel, and she thinks that's what Owen was implying in his note. Beth appears to fall asleep by herself with Claire seemingly having disappeared. She is drawn outside by what sounds like Owen's voice again. She goes to the dock and finds bloody footprints that appear to be walking toward her. Beth reaches her hand out and feels something. When she goes back toward the house, she sees herself and Owen in the bedroom window, with Owen trying to kiss Beth, but she pulls away from him. When Beth runs back to the house, it is morning, and she finds herself sleeping on the couch, and in turn, she awakens from the dream again. Beth wanders through the woods that day and comes across the space that Owen was working on. She runs into a neighbor, Mel, who is walking his dog, and expresses concern over Beth going out by herself, knowing what she is going through and fearing she may do something reckless. Mel invites Beth over for lunch, where he later tells her that he did see Owen around the area with a woman that he thought was Beth, but when he called out to her, he saw it wasn't her. She goes through Owen's phone and belongings, finding more pictures of the woman from the bookstore, as well as other women who bear a resemblance to Beth. There is even an artifact called a Louvre doll, which looks like a human figure impaled with 13 needles. Beth visits the bookstore and meets the employee Madeline, the woman in Owen's pictures. Beth talks to her and reveals that she was Owen's wife and what happened to him, and Madeline all but confirms that she did spend time with Owen. When Beth returns home, she continues to be haunted by what she thinks is Owen's silhouette. Later on, Madeline visits Beth since Owen had also taken her to the lake house before. Madeline tells Beth that she had only kissed Owen, not slept with him, but he had attempted to choke her and she got away in time. Beth goes to the unfinished shed that Owen was working on, and her foot goes through a floorboard. There, Beth uncovers the corpses of several women, presumably the women in Owen's photos. Beth tries calling Claire to tell her, but she just leaves her a tearful voicemail trying to deny what Owen really was. In her continued grief and delusions, Beth continues to feel Owen's presence and begins to break down as she just wants to be able to feel him again. The invisible force from earlier returns, and Beth appears to be able to hold and kiss it. When she asks the force if it's Owen, it replies that it isn't. Beth walks to the couch and sees Owen himself, but speaking with the voice of some kind of demon that claims it was using Owen to carry out the killings, and that it had its eyes on Beth the whole time. She sees an image in the mirror of Owen attacking and killing another woman. The next morning, Claire goes to the house to look for Beth, but she has taken Owen's boat and handgun out to the lake, looking like she is possessed and about to kill herself. Claire calls out to Beth loud enough to draw Mel's attention. Claire swims out to the boat just as Beth appears to snap out of her delusion. She swims back to the dock with Claire to meet Mel, and they both attempt to comfort her. Beth looks out to the lake and seemingly still sees the shadow of the demon, but when Mel asks what she is looking at, Beth says it's nothing.